Hello, my name is Jenny Sjöholm. I'm a conservation specialist and senior lecturer in urban design and conservation. And I will give a brief presentation introduction to built heritage and how it can be protected in Swedish legislation. To start with, it is useful to differentiate between official heritage and unofficial heritage when you talk about heritagization processes. Official heritage, it can be defined as being a professional practices that somehow is authorized by the state and motivated by some sort of legislation or written charters. If you have an official heritage, that is different practices that are represented by using the language of heritage, but they are not formally recognized as official heritage by legislation or by the state or by the local authorities. So, focus now is on the official heritage and what happens when it gets formally established and accepted as being heritage worthy of protection. And in the Swedish planning system, this can be done either through the Environmental Code, the Heritage Conservation Act, or the Planning and Building Act. The Environmental Code dates back to the late 1990s, and it regulates many things, but when it comes to built heritage, of major interest is the potential of assigning sites as national interests. And that can, for instance, be for the purposes of conservation of the cultural environments. Also, other things can be protected as natural interests. It can be, defense, it can be infrastructure such as roads and railways, it can be mining activities and natural environments and much more. In the Environmental Code, there's also possibilities to preserve valuable cultural landscapes and doing this by establishing them as cultural reserves. And furthermore, according to the Environmental Code, you also need to do environmental impact assessments when you want to change an environment, including when you want to make an impact that affects built heritage. So, moving on to the Heritage Conservation Act. This legislation was put in place in the 1980s, and it's a legislation that allows the state to protect certain kinds of buildings and properties that is of high significance from a national point of view. And it has different chapters regulating different kinds of places, but mainly what is being protected by the Heritage Conservation Act is archaeological sites, listed buildings and churches, and that includes both cemeteries and furnishings within the churches. So, if the Environmental Code and the Heritage Conservation Act is mainly how the state can protect built heritage, the Planning and Building Act is how the local authorities can work on protecting significant built heritage on a local context. And according to the legislation, they have different means of doing this. All local councils, they must adopt comprehensive plans, that is to say, how they intend to maintain and protect assets such as built heritage in the long term. Whereas listed buildings is a very exclusive number of few buildings throughout the country, the intention by the legislation body, the government and the parliament, is that the main bulk of important historic buildings should be protected by the local authorities in the Planning and Building Act. And this must be done through detailed development plans. Here, in these kind of plans, the local councils can protect buildings and built environment that have cultural significance. And the local authorities also do different kinds of investigations and baseline studies to help estimating and finding knowledge about the heritage sites and the historic environments that could be needing protection. It can be inventories and investigations of historic buildings. It can be made through appraisals of historic environments, and there can also be developed complementing conservation plans to further support the comprehensive plans and the other planning documents that is being produced and decided on by the councils.